12 months ago, I earned 6 figures as the CEO of a promising tech company that had raised millions in fundings. Today, I live off my savings and make content about fantasy writing and world building. If you've watched any of my previous videos, this one here is going to be a bit different. I even considered shooting it in our backyard because the change of scenery would have reflected the essence of this video perfectly. But as you can spot here in the far distance, the kids are still completing the tipi we've been building, so as spacious as our backyard is, I decided to stick to the office setup after all. You see, this office, it's not just a workspace. With Yoda, with Lord of the Rings drinking glasses, with an alliance banner from World of Warcraft, it's a testament to a journey that began long before I ever aimed to become successful in the tech world. A journey that in many ways, I'm only truly embarking upon now. From my earliest memories, I was the quintessential nerd, at least to some degree. I wasn't unpopular, I had friends, played football, but I also was the kid who'd very often rather be lost in a fantasy world than, well, anywhere else. Like so many, I found solace in the pages of fantasy. For me, it was the Dragonlance series by Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss that truly captured my imagination. The world of Krynn became my second home, and characters like Storm Brightblade, the noble and tragic knight, continue to influence me to this day. And then there were video games. All the way up to adulthood, my family used to say I spend too much gaming, and I can still hear their voices filled with concern and a touch of exasperation. Little did they know that those countless hours I poured into games would eventually lead me to earn several times what they did, for several years in the gaming industry no less. Life has a funny way of coming full circle, doesn't it? At 16, I eventually discovered pen and paper role-playing games. Suddenly I wasn't just reading or playing through stories, I was actively creating them with friends. It was incredibly exhilarating, and it sparked something in me that I couldn't quite name at the time. Looking back, it was my first taste of being a true world builder, crafting universes with nothing but imagination and a set of dice. This was also the time I started to write my own fantasy stories. But life, as it often does, had other plans for me. I excelled in my studies, becoming valedictorian when I finished my education as a specialist for application development. I then went on to complete a master's degree in history, a field that, in retrospect, added to my love for world building and understanding how societies function. Little did I know that this blend of tech and history in my background would later fuel my fantasy creations, allowing me to build more believable, intricate worlds. All in all, my life was far from boring. I lived in Copenhagen, Berlin, and other exciting cities, and each new job eventually seemed to bring more success and more recognition. For 7 years, I was married to a beautiful wife on top of everything. So on paper, I was living the dream. But things aren't always what they seem at first glance. My first marriage eventually ended after years of chasing opportunities and experiences together, moving so often that our families thought we were insane. Even after the marriage ended though, I kept moving. Something that eventually led me to live in 4 different apartments within 3 cities in a single year. Looking back, I realized I was searching for something. Always anxious, always running. But from what to where? I couldn't say. It certainly wasn't corporate success, because no promotion, no salary raise really changed things. In a way, I was like a character in a fantasy novel, always on a quest, but unsure what I was truly seeking. Still, to the outside world, my life looked perfect. 6-figure salary, globe-trotting lifestyle, at the helm of successful teams and companies. I had it all, right? But here's the thing about having it all. Sometimes it's not until you have everything society tells you to want that you realize it's not what you need. It's like reaching the end of an epic quest, only to find that the treasure isn't what you thought it would be. 3 years ago then, something happened that would change the course of my life. I reconnected with an old girlfriend, someone I hadn't seen in almost 2 decades. We immediately clicked, and within days we were together again. Suddenly, I found myself living on an old farm with 2 young kids around, a far cry from the sleek urban apartments I was used to. It was as if I had stepped through a portal into a new world, one that felt more real and vibrant than the one I had left behind. The first 2 years together were amazing already in so many ways, but I was still working 80 to 100 hours almost every single week. I was building a company with an incredible team, a vision I believed in so much that I even got the brand logo tattooed on my forearm. Then, at the end of last year, my body decided it had had enough. I found myself in the hospital undergoing emergency surgery. But this wasn't the end. Additional infections led to several rounds of antibiotics. For months, I couldn't work. I was tired, my brain foggy, and my physical strength gone. As much as it pained me, I had to step away from the business I'd poured my heart and soul into up to this point. I had to focus on my health. Looking back at things now, it was a wake-up call. A very loud, very painful wake-up call. It was my own personal plot twist. The moment in the story where everything changes. During my recovery, I was forced to slow down, to rest, to reflect. I reconnected with nature, spent more time renovating our farm, and most importantly, I spent more time with my family. And in those quiet moments, when I wasn't consumed by work or the next big project, I found myself drawn back to my old passions. Stories, worlds, magic. The realms of fantasy that had always been my true home were calling me back. I had started this channel as a hobby while still working, almost on a whim. To my surprise, it took off quickly. 1,500 subscribers and monetization status within 6 weeks. But even that had to take a backseat during my health crisis. For 3 months, I didn't release a single video here. It was during this forced pause that I realized something crucial. 3 times throughout my life, I had planned to go all in on my creative pursuits. 3 times, I had backed out again, before really getting started. Why? Because the odds of success for authors are slim. Because people thought it would be stupid to give up what I had achieved. Because I was unable to let go of the sure money for a chance of a better life. But this time was different. This time I listened to my heart, like a hero finally accepting the call to adventure. I knew it was time to embark on my true quest. So I made the decision to not return to the tech industry as soon as I started to feel better. Instead, I decided to use my savings to build a new kind of business. A business that represented my childhood dreams. One centered around storytelling, fantasy, and world building. And most importantly, I committed to investing more time and energy into my family. Was it scary? Absolutely. It still is. Anxiety is a constant companion, fighting with excitement and sheer joy every day to determine who gets to dictate my emotions. The financial pressure certainly nags at me too. But you know what? With each passing day, I feel a little more certain that I am on the right track. So this is where my story takes a new turn. Like any good fantasy novel, the journey is far from over. In fact, it's only just beginning. As I sit here, surrounded by the trappings of my geeky passions, I'm not just reminiscing about the past, I'm actively forging a new future. Every day I wake up excited to explore new realms of imagination. I'm not just creating content, I'm building entire universes. I'm crafting magic systems that spark wonder, designing landscapes that defy reality, and breathing life into characters that feel as real as you and me. And through this YouTube channel, I can not only share all this with like-minded people, but even help some of them on their own creative journey. Through my work, I'm discovering that fantasy and storytelling have the power to illuminate truths about our own world. They can inspire us, challenge us, and help us see our reality from new perspectives. In a way, I'm still solving problems and creating solutions, just like I did in tech. But now the canvas is limitless, bounded only by the edges of imagination. But even if my journey is far from over, it has already taught me some invaluable lessons. Lessons about success, about happiness, about what truly matters in life. And now I want to share those with you. And the first lesson is that success is subjective. Society often defines it in terms of money, power, or status. But true success? That's about alignment. It's about waking up every day excited about what you're going to do. It's about going to bed fulfilled, not just exhausted. It's about writing your own story, not following someone else's script. Secondly, your passions aren't just hobbies. They're signposts. They point towards what truly ignites your soul. For years, I treated my love for fantasy and storytelling as something to do on the side, but it was always calling me, always there in the background. Like a magical artifact waiting to be discovered, your passion holds the key to your true path. Third then is to listen to your body and your heart. They often know what's best for you, long before your mind catches up. My body had to literally shut down before I listened. Don't let it come to that. In the hero's journey of your life, don't ignore the wise mentors trying to guide you from within. The fourth lesson I learned is that it's never too late to change course. I had built a successful career, achieved so much of what I thought I wanted. But in my 40s, I'm starting over in so many ways. And you know what? It feels right. Every great story has turning points. This is mine, and it's never too late for yours. Lastly, and perhaps more importantly, remember that your journey is your own. People will have opinions. They will tell you you're crazy for giving up a sure thing. They'll warn you about the risks. Listen, acknowledge their concern, but don't let it deter you from following your heart. You are the protagonist of your own story. Don't let others write it for you. Because today, my life looks very different from what it did a year ago. I spend my days creating content about fantasy writing and world building. I'm working on my own novel. I'm creating educational products for others. And I'm present for my family in a way I never was before. Is it always easy? No. There are days when I question everything. Days when the financial stability I once had seems very appealing. But then I'll lose myself in creating a new world. Or I'll see the excitement in the kids' eyes when we're building that tipi. And then I know I've made the right choice. So to anyone out there who feels stuck, who has a passion they've been ignoring, who thinks it's too late to change, this is for you. It is not too late. It's never too late to realign your life with what truly matters to you. Yes, I had it all in tech, but what I have now, the joy of creation, the fulfillment of following my passion, the precious time with my family, and the opportunity to help others, that's true wealth. That's true success. That, for me, is real magic. So thank you for letting me share my story with you. If it inspires even one person to take that leap, to follow their heart, then this video will have been well worth it. Until next time, stay magical.